Deep within the heart of a dense forest, nestled beneath a canopy of towering pine trees, stood Blackwood Cabin. It was a place both inviting and foreboding, a remote refuge from the outside world. This is the chilling tale of a stay at Blackwood Cabin that turned into a nightmarish ordeal, revealing that even in the most idyllic settings, horrors can hide. Sarah, a nature enthusiast, decided to spend a weekend at the isolated Blackwood Cabin with her two friends, Emily and Daniel. Their journey was filled with excitement as they anticipated a retreat from their busy lives. The cabin, with its rustic charm, welcomed them with open arms, its creaking wooden floors hinting at a history shrouded in secrets. The first night was peaceful, as the crackling fireplace provided a comforting warmth. Laughter filled the cozy living room, and the friends exchanged stories over a candlelit dinner. The forest outside whispered with the soft hush of the wind, and Sarah's heart swelled with contentment. As the second night descended, the forest took on a more ominous tone. The wind seemed to carry distant murmurs, like ghostly whispers among the trees. The three friends gathered around the fire noticed an unusual stillness in the air, and the flickering flames cast dancing shadows that seemed to tell stories of their own. It was on the third night that the tranquility of the cabin was shattered. An eerie tapping echoed through the walls, rhythmic and persistent. Sarah, her curiosity piqued, ventured into the inky darkness of the cabin's corridors, her flashlight cutting through the shadowy veil. The source of the tapping led her to the cabin's attic door, a portal to an unknown world. She hesitated but couldn't resist the urge to uncover the mystery. As she climbed the creaky wooden steps, the air grew icy, and the attic seemed to beckon her with ghostly whispers. In the dimly lit attic, her flashlight revealed an old journal. Its pages were yellowed and fragile, the ink fading, but its secrets remained intact. As she read the journal entries, her heart quickened. The journal belonged to a previous owner of the cabin, and the entries hinted at strange occurrences and a growing sense of dread. The whispers that had haunted her now seemed to materialize, an ethereal presence that encircled her. An invisible hand seemed to guide her fingers as she flipped through the journal's pages. It spoke of shadows in the woods and a sinister force that lurked just beyond the cabin's windows. As Sarah read on, she felt an unsettling presence in the attic, as if the very air was charged with a malevolent energy. Her flashlight flickered, and the attic seemed to come alive with shadows that reached out for her. Panicked, she rushed back down the attic stairs and slammed the door behind her. Back in the living room, her friends watched as Sarah recounted her eerie encounter. The tapping continued, louder now, as if the cabin itself was trying to communicate. Emily suggested they leave, but the cabin's doors and windows had become impenetrable barriers, refusing to yield to their desperate attempts. The walls seemed to close in around them, and the cabin's time-worn wood groaned as if in agony. Their flashlights dimmed, leaving them in almost complete darkness. Panic set in as they realized that they were trapped, their sanctuary now a prison. The tapping took on a frenzied rhythm, and the cabin seemed to tremble with an unseen force. The air grew frigid, and the room was filled with whispered voices, each one an echo of fear and despair. The friends huddled together, their breaths shallow, their hearts pounding. Sarah, in a moment of desperation, grabbed the journal and began reading aloud from it. As her voice filled the room, the cabin's chaos seemed to reach a fever pitch. The shadows converged around them, and the walls screamed with a chorus of tormented souls. With a final gut-wrenching wail, the cabin seemed to exhale, releasing them from its nightmarish grip. The tapping ceased, and the air warmed, as if the cabin's oppressive presence had lifted. Their flashlights flickered back to life, and the once sealed doors and windows opened effortlessly. The friends fled from the cabin, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had witnessed. The forest outside, once a place of serenity, now felt tainted by the cabin's dark history. They drove away from Blackwood Cabin, leaving its secrets behind. The cabin stood alone in the forest, its walls holding the echoes of a haunting past. Sarah, Emily, and Daniel had escaped its clutches, but the memory of that night would forever haunt them. They had learned that even in the most idyllic of settings, evil can lurk in the shadows, waiting to ensnare those who dare to venture too close. It was a cabin like no other, nestled deep within Whistler's Hollow, a place where the whispers of the pines painted the air with secrets. For generations, this secluded haven had been both a refuge and a riddle, its mysteries as old as the trees that surrounded it. This is the tale of a night spent at Whistler's Hollow Cabin, where a cryptic enigma intertwined with a relentless terror, showing that even in the most enigmatic of settings, dark forces can wait. Oliver, an inquisitive soul with a penchant for the mysterious, convinced his friends Emma and Michael to join him on a weekend retreat to Whistler's Hollow Cabin. The journey through the thick forest was an adventure, and as they arrived, the cabin's peculiar charm welcomed them with open arms. Its unusual design, a fusion of log and stone, hinted at its eccentric history. The first night was filled with fascination and laughter, their voices echoing through the eccentrically decorated living room. The cabin, though eccentric, exuded a peculiar comfort. The dense woods outside whispered with the gentle rustling of leaves and the soft, melodic tune of the wind. Oliver watched the shadows play on the cabin walls with a sense of wonder. As the second night fell, the forest took on an eerie stillness. The wind seemed to carry secrets as it wound through the trees, a whispering presence that tingled with an enigmatic energy. The trio couldn't help but feel as if the very woods were drawing them into their mystique. It was on the third night that their stay became a twisted enigma. Oliver, drawn by a cryptic rhyme etched into an old book in the cabin's study, embarked on a hunt for answers. The verse hinted at a hidden chamber within the cabin, a place where the truth lay concealed. The cabin's corridors were a labyrinth of oddities, each room filled with peculiar artifacts and ancient trinkets. Oliver's flashlight illuminated the path to a narrow door leading to the unknown. As he ventured further into the dark passage, a sense of dread settled over him. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and the whispered riddles of the woods seemed to guide his way. In the hidden chamber, his flashlight revealed a cryptic journal. Its pages were yellowed with age, filled with fragmented thoughts and elusive clues. As Oliver deciphered the journal's enigmatic entries, he felt an unseen presence in the chamber, as if the very walls were imbued with the spirits of the past. As he read on, the room itself seemed to respond to his quest for understanding. Shadows danced with an eerie cadence, and whispers reverberated through the air. The cabin itself seemed to embrace him, urging him to unravel the ancient riddle. Back in the living room, Oliver shared the journal's secrets with Emma and Michael. The riddle spoke of an ancient pact and a curse that had bound the cabin to the forest. The friends, drawn into the enigma, decided to solve the riddle, believing it was the key to breaking the curse. The cabin responded to their intent, its walls pulsating with an eerie energy. The cryptic rhyme echoed through the chamber, and the cabin's shadows seemed to come to life. They realized that the cabin itself held the answers to the riddle, its eccentric design concealing the enigmatic truths. As they worked together to solve the riddle, the cabin's eccentricities began to make sense. Hidden compartments, secret passages, and peculiar artifacts held the key to the mystery. They felt the enigmatic presence growing more powerful, guiding them toward the heart of the riddle. With the final piece of the puzzle in place, the cabin shuddered, as if releasing a long-held breath. The shadows receded, and the cryptic rhyme echoed one last time through the room. The friends realized that they had broken the curse, their determination and curiosity having unraveled the enigma that bound the cabin. As they left Whistler's Hollow Cabin, they carried with them the memory of a night where mystery and terror had intertwined. The forest, once an enigma in itself, seemed to exhale with a sense of relief, its secrets laid bare for those who dared to seek them. The cabin stood in the hollow, its walls no longer shrouded in mystery. Oliver, Emma, and Michael had escaped its clutches, but the memory of that night would forever haunt them, a testament to the enduring power of the enigma. They had learned that even in the most eccentric of settings, understanding can bring light to even the darkest of mysteries. In the heart of a dense pine forest, Moonshadow Cabin stood as an idyllic retreat, its wooden facade nestled among the towering trees. It was a place of solitude, or so it seemed. This is the tale of a night spent at Moonshadow Cabin, where the tranquility of the woods gave way to a relentless horror, proving that even in the most serene settings, malevolent forces can lurk. Lena, an adventurer with a love for the great outdoors, invited her friends, Mark and Jenna, to join her for a weekend at the secluded Moonshadow Cabin. The journey through the dense forest was an adventure in itself, and they arrived with excitement in their hearts, looking forward to days filled with hiking, stargazing, and campfires. The first night was filled with laughter and camaraderie as the friends gathered around the blazing fireplace. The forest, alive with the soothing sounds of rustling leaves and chirping crickets, seemed to embrace them with its natural symphony. Lena's heart swelled with contentment as she watched the fires dance. As the second night descended, the forest took on an eerie hush. The wind whispered secrets that were carried on the breeze, its caress sending shivers down their spines. The trio noticed an unsettling stillness in the air, the very essence of the forest seemingly holding its breath. It was on the third night that the idyllic retreat transformed into a nightmare. Lena, unable to ignore the unsettling atmosphere, decided to explore the cabin's basement, curiosity tugging at her like an unseen force. The dimly lit stairs led her down into the inky darkness below. The basement was a labyrinth of forgotten memories, its corners shrouded in shadow. Lena's flashlight revealed an old journal, its pages filled with words that seemed to exude a sense of dread. As she read the entries, her heart quickened. The journal belonged to a previous resident of the cabin, and it told a tale of ominous occurrences and a relentless haunting. As Lena delved deeper into the journal, a spectral presence seemed to fill the basement, as if the very walls held the memories of past terrors. The air grew frigid, and the shadows stretched and twisted as if reaching for her. She felt watched, a gaze from the unseen depths of the basement. With a sense of foreboding, Lena rushed back up the basement stairs and slammed the door behind her. She recounted her eerie encounter to Mark and Jenna, their faces pale with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The basement door now seemed like a gateway to something beyond their understanding. Their unease escalated as the basement door began to rattle, as if something on the other side was trying to escape. The cabin itself seemed to shift, its time-worn wood groaning in agony. Shadows danced on the walls, their movements an eerie dance of malevolence. With their flashlights dimming, the trio felt trapped, unable to escape the relentless onslaught of fear that surrounded them. The basement door continued to shake as if the entity within was growing more powerful by the minute. Their attempts to leave through the cabin's doors and windows were futile, as if the very cabin had turned against them. The walls seemed to close in around them, and the cabin's shadows reached out like phantom hands. The air was filled with whispered voices, each one a chorus of torment. Mark, in a desperate bid for escape, tried to break a window, but it held fast as if bound by an unseen hand. Jenna, her voice trembling, suggested they read from the journal, hoping to appease the restless spirit. As they read aloud, the basement door ceased its relentless shaking, and the shadows began to recede. The air warmed, and the cabin's oppressive presence seemed to lift. With a collective sigh of relief, the friends fled from the cabin, their hearts heavy with the weight of their shared ordeal. The forest, once a sanctuary, felt forever altered by the cabin's sinister history. They drove away from Moonshadow Cabin, leaving its dark secrets behind. The cabin stood alone in the forest, its walls holding the echoes of a chilling past. Lena, Mark, and Jenna had escaped its clutches, but the memory of that night would forever haunt them. They had learned that even in the most serene of settings, malevolence can take root in the shadows, waiting to ensnare those who dare to tread too close.